Stick around to the wheels spin at the end and find out what we are playing next week. Hello everyone, Johnny Hurricane here from GamersHeroes.com, and welcome to Best with a Buddy, where Smith and I play a co-op game for a few hours, give our general impressions, what we like and dislike, and then give a fun factor score.
Games today aren't cheap. $50, $60, $70, it really adds up, especially if you and your buddies are buying multiple copies. We're going to break down the best and worst of all things co-op, and today we're diving into Ghost of Tsushima.
Ghost of Tsushima Legends is a multiplayer spin-off of Ghost of Tsushima. It is not open world like the single player, but instead has instance-based missions with up to 4 players. It also brings the same visceral combat and gorgeous aesthetic as the single player mode, while adding new tools and abilities and a robust class system to help keep things fresh. Ghost of Tsushima multiplayer is for fans of the samurai theme and the aesthetic, fans of survival modes, and fans of high skill level combat. If you're a master here, people will know it.
Ghost of Tsushima is for stealth tactics with a friend. There's plenty of opportunities for dual takedowns. It's a lot of fun. It's great for fans of cosmetic loot and visual upgrades. There's lots of ways to customize the visuals of your warrior. And it's great for friends and groups of 4. Any less than this, you can't do the raids. There is easier content, but the top content is locked away for groups of 4 only. Ghost of Tsushima is not for players with limited time. The big missions can take 40, 50, 60 minutes. It's a big investment. It's not for fans hoping for meaningful progression. A lot of it's cosmetic. There's a lot outside of that. And it's not for players wanting something mindless. There's a lot of focus and communication required to pull these missions off.
Ghost of Tsushima multiplayer is also not for combat casuals. This game is pretty brutal. You're going to die a lot if you don't know what you're doing. It's also not for fans of lock-on. The lock-on in this game is not a lock-on. No matter what they say, it is not a lock-on. And it's also not for fans that like variety in their objectives. You're going to be doing a lot of the same stuff over and over and over again. Now that we've gone over who the game is for and not for, let's take a deeper dive and look at the best and the worst that Ghost of Tsushima multiplayer has to offer. The best part, by far, in Ghost of Tsushima single player, multiplayer, wherever you want to go, is the combat. The combat in Ghost of Tsushima is some of the best in the industry, quite frankly. It's not as good in the co-op, but it still retains a good amount of that from the single player. So when you're fighting, you have a lot of different options. You can either go ahead and go in guns blazing, use your katana, or you can go stealth. Stealth is still as broken as it is in the single player. If you don't get caught, you can basically kill everything that isn't like a super special enemy or one of the big boys, because they take a little bit of time. But when you're in the combat, the actual sword play is very similar to the single player. So it's a lot of timing, parry, and attacking. The only downside is that you don't get all the stances at once, or at least I never did. You can only get a couple of them at a time. So you lose a little bit there, but the perfect parry, the perfect dodge, that's still there, still feels very good. So when you hit that perfect parry and the sword falls back, and it even slows down a little bit for you and you slice the enemy down. Oh, it feels so great. The bow feels awesome as well. And explosive barrels. I'm just going to go ahead and say that in games like this, I love explosive barrels, and they are great here as well. One of the other things I really enjoyed was my ultimate, which it revived my allies, but to be honest, most of the time they didn't go down. So what I did was I used it to set enemies on fire, which is always great because I love fire and explosives, as you will learn about sometime anyways. You enjoyed the combat as well, right, Smith?
Yeah, you are a bit of a pyromaniac. Every game we play, you're obsessed with fire. Yeah, the combat was good. It's as good as the base game. So yeah, it brings all that quality to it. I think for me, the best part about the game is probably the class system. Now, normally it's limited, but it's more precise. So in most games, I would criticize it if they had 100 different abilities that are all rubbish passive upgrades. An extra 1% damage, 2% speed, it's garbage. There's a lot less. There's only a few upgrades for each class, but they're all really impactful. So they shape your class's abilities. My class, I could turn invisible, turn my allies invisible, and then we could just do assassination kills. So if you get everyone in the same place at the same time and pull it off, you bring everyone down. Each class that I saw and play, they all had an ability that could turn the tide of combat. So this is what we were building on before about it's not for mindless players. If you work together and you utilize your abilities in unison, you're going to pull off a lot of stuff and you'll have a lot of fun.
Enemies marched in terror as their allies fell.
Now that we've talked about the best that Ghost of Tsushima multiplayer has to offer, let's talk about the worst. I'm going to kick it over to Smith to start us off.
The worst thing by far, and it is a massive detriment to the whole experience, is the mission structure. Now, unfortunately, we only played with myself and Johnny, so we didn't have access to the higher 4-player raid content. We've only got access to the campaign, which is a loose narrative-driven story through segmented levels that are quite small, and then these open-ended defended missions where you just get attacked and attacked over and over again until you die. It's boring, it's repetitive. Even with the game's wonderful combat, the gorgeous visuals, by the end of the time when we got, it's about 45 minutes for us to finish the survival, and I was exhausted. The thought of playing again was just, there's no way. And I think the limit there, especially if you've got 3 or 4 friends, you're going to get bored quickly unless you're hardcore. So I think it's good for casual players in terms of time investment if you just want to play one game and leave. But for me, the mission structure really killed it. What about you, Johnny? What was your worst part of the game?
I'm just going to say that I agree with the mission structure issue. There's certain things you need to get, like elemental attacks to kill certain enemies, and if you don't have those, it's just one of those things that adds time, unnecessary time at that. The combat's good enough without that, so I don't like that. But the other issue I had with this game was the bonus objectives, especially in survival mode. So in survival mode, these bonus objectives pop up. If you do them, you get more rewards. More rewards equals more loot, right? So, you can get new swords, yada, yada. The bonus objectives were just, I don't know if there was no incentive and people just weren't going to do them, or if they were just plain hard. We had like get 25 headshots in 3 minutes. We had like 3 of them by the end of 2 minutes and nobody seemed to care. There's other ones like kill all the Mongols in the circle. Well, everyone kills them outside of the circle because they don't want to get them into the circle, because then you start losing points, so you don't want that. The bonus objectives were, simply put, not worth the time, not worth the effort. It just was go kill the Mongols. Just kill the invaders. Don't even worry. If you get them, great. If there's one that says shoot 2 explosive barrels and kill a bunch of Mongols with it, guess what? I'm doing that one. But other than that, they were just annoying and pointless, and just, again, tried to add time like to distract us from the survival, but we just didn't care. So yeah, I didn't really care much for the bonus objectives. I don't think, Smith, do we even complete one?
No, when I tried, dude, we had archers all over. Everyone was archers with bows. We didn't get any headshots. I didn't enjoy them at all because you felt pressured. And
Yes.
you're already pressured because all the objectives are getting attacked at once. And again, with 4 players communicating via VoIP, it might be different. But I gave up on them because no one seemed to care.
The ghost prepared for battle. Stronger together.
Before we get into our fun factor score, leave a comment down below and let us know if you've played Ghost of Tsushima, and if you haven't, why not? And now, for the fun factor score. I'm going to give Ghost of Tsushima multiplayer a 3 out of 5. I think there is enjoyment here with friends, but I don't think you're going to want to play it solo. What about you, Smith? What's your fun factor score?
I'm going to have to give this one a 2 out of 5 on the fun factor scale, which feels completely wrong. The base game for Ghost of Tsushima was a beautiful experience. Narrative, visuals, combat. It had absolutely everything, and it brings so much of that to the multiplayer. But the stagnant mission design, the limited maps, the restricted freedom, it really killed it for me, and I did not have as good a time as I should have had in a game as gorgeous as this. And now for the important question, Johnny, would you dive into Ghost of Tsushima with a friend and play again?
I would, but only with a friend. What about you, Smith? Would you dive back into Ghost of Tsushima and play with a friend?
No, not with its current state, I would not.
And now, before we get to the wheel spin, Smith, what game do you not want it to be?
I do not want to play Demon Souls ever again. I say that every time, and I'm going to say it every time until it pops up, but I'm definitely looking forward to Phasmophobia. I think that could be a lot of fun.
Okay, without further ado, let's spin the wheel. All right, here we go with the wheel spin.
Keep expecting that thing to fall apart. What do we got?
I do have to hold it.
No! Oh, that's all right. I don't want to play Dark Alliance again. What does that say?
For the King.
Oh, the King! Did we play that way back in the day? That game is fantastic. I'm looking forward to this one for sure.
Me too. Yeah, I didn't want to play Dark Alliance either, so I'm glad we're not. It's one of those ones on the board that neither of us want, but it should make a good episode, so I guess it's there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, okay, yeah. So we will be playing For the King unless something pops up. You never really know in this industry. Sometimes it does. But, anyways, if you liked what you saw, got what you needed, like, comment, subscribe. See you guys in the next video. Later, Gators.